Hello, hello. Welcome to Revelator Alf. I hope you're all well. This is another live video podcast, live stream, live show, radio show coming right at you from the UK, from the igloo that is the UK. The freezing temperatures, they're still with us. We've had a bit of snow and it's all moving away right now and it's heading up north a little bit, but I'm sure it will return. -2 here to go today where I am. I ventured out about a little bit, walked the dog again, uh, scraped some ice off the car, and yeah, slipping inside and all over the place I was. But listen, I am back in the house or in the workshop, in the studio, and I thought I'd bring some news to you from the motorcycle world, really. And but also the main topic of the day is basically, just a general Q&A. This is really about your thoughts of storing your bike over the winter and also protecting it as well. I'm going to be talking a little bit about these things as well, security cameras and how you can use them more than just being security cameras, as it were. So if you watch a previous video when I talked about installing cameras just to look over my bike, I've got some more there for the workshop and also outside, but I'm going to show you how I'm using them as well, or how I could use them as well. But anyway, so first of all, let's just get into the news, shall we? Okay, this is non-Harley Davidson Day today, so it's a general roundup of what else is happening in the motorcycle world. I've just picked a few stories here. I've got to say, still, it's gone pretty quiet on the motorcycle news front, I'm going to say right now. But here, this is a story from Visor Down. They basically said that MV Agusta were with their Explorer. They brought out a couple of ADV bikes, the 9.5 and the 5.5. Basically, it's the MV Agusta revival of the Cagiva Elephant 900 rally bike, and it's coming to dealerships very soon. I did go through this recently, and basically it's a 950cc is a 9.5, and their 5.5 is a 550cc. It looks pretty decent, I've got to say. It's been shown at the Milan show recently. It's almost ready to come out. It looks the part. It looks nice. This is very similar to, the Cagiva, as I said, but also the Ducati as well, that Desert X, the smaller ADV bikes, very capable, bit more lightweight, bit more rally, bit more Dakar rally style, as it were. But if you know what I mean. So there's a bit of stylings there that have come from that Dakar world, but they've just made it lighter and smaller and just more capable. And it's interesting that a lot of the Italian brands are coming out with this sort of stuff now. This bike, in all fairness, has been in development for a couple of years, or these two bikes as well. So MV Agusta, Lucky Explorer, 9.5 and 5.5, wherever they are sold, wherever in the world, this is coming to a place like you or near you. So if you're into MV Agusta, yeah, there's going to be a hefty price tag on it. I don't know. It doesn't actually really say what it is. And basically, this is start with a 9.5, 931cc, 3-cylinder engine. That means the bike should give a great sound, 124 horsepower, 102 newton meters. Should give a decent acceleration. Top speed 240 kilometers. Do the maths what that is in miles per hour. Engine weighs only 57 kilos. That's the engine. The chassis is a double beam steel frame design with a bolt-on cradle and steel trellis subframe. Yeah, pretty much standard stuff. 21-inch front wheel, 48 millimeter upside down telescopic forks from Sachs, and adjustability for damping and preload. 220 millimeter of wheel travel, while the 18-inch rear wheel is connected to Sachs monoshock via single-sided aluminium swing arm. Oh, okay, interesting. And progressive link. 210 millimeter of wheel travel is available at the rear, and it just goes on and on and on. Basically, dry, the bike weighs 220 kilos, 20-liter fuel tank. It looks nice. It looks a business, I've got to say. Let me just put another picture up there for you. So if you're into, it's as I say, they haven't come out with price tags yet for this yet. The other news is, as I revealed a couple of weeks ago, this is from Visor Down here again, that the new Suzuki GSX 8S and the V-Strom 800DE Adventure, they obviously they're coming out for 2023. Decent bikes here from Suzuki, very nice. And they've basically come out with prices as well. They haven't actually said this in the article. I can't see. Let's have a look. But I actually got let me just see if I've got my press release here. But basically, Suzuki actually came out with a pricing announced. Here we go. So the GSX 8S parallel twin powered naked recommended retail price of £7,999, which is a decent price, I've got to say. And does it say anything about the 800? No. Okay, so I would say the 800 is probably going to be in the 10,000 plus. This GSX 8S, yeah, decent. I like that. So there we go. So it's very slim pickings on the motorcycle front right now. As I say, Suzuki, have come out with their stuff. So electric motorcycle. No, what was this? Oh yeah, and Energica. They're basically getting into more markets. I got another press release about this, and this comes from Teslarati publication. They're basically going to expand into Japan and also Australia as well. So it's and they're saying those are high value markets. So if you're into EV bikes and you're from Japan and Australia, and then are coming to a place near you very, very soon. Okay, let's just talk about this quickly. Motori Minarelli Euro 5 two-stroke engine could power future Fantic models. I'm a big fan of the Fantic and a big fan of Minarelli as well. But they got this new engine that they put out, 300cc two-stroke engine with electronic fuel injection and an exhaust valve that boasts Euro 5 compliance. So this is a big thing in all these bikes now, Euro 5 compliance. And it's reportedly based on the 250 Yamaha Enduro engine that was produced for the YZ250. So, 300 is the golden figure now for these kinds of engine sizes as well. So it'd be very interesting to see whether, it's saying it's destined to land in the new Fantic XE300 next year, although from their possibilities are unknown. Another uncertainty is the output of the new engine, and whether in Euro 5 form it will be close to current crop of 300cc two-stroke machines. Exactly. And once they have to, it's the curse, isn't it, really, of performance of these bikes, trying to maintain or comply with, with emission standards. Okay, so that was that one. That was the other one. Okay, so let's just get into some products, shall we, and see what's what. Okay, so new. This is from Motorcycle News. A couple of new helmet manufacturers. Mips here. They're from Scandinavia, I believe, Sweden. They've also brought out a new helmet. And improvements in rider safety are nothing new in Grand Prix racing, but this system, which has already been seen in Road Kit, will be the first of its kind in the series and will appear on a new model from Japanese firm Kabuto. Anyone that travels with velocity always carries a risk of having an impact, and angled impacts are quite common in MotoGP. MIP CEO Strandwich, we're happy that they've started using it for their riders. So basically, it's a MIPS integrated system into the helmet, and it helps protect the rider's head and reduces the chances of brain injury. So that's a decent addition there. There's also another one, same publication, same author actually, or journalist here, Dan Sutherland, also basically talking about the headsets from Aero. It's the first integrated airbag helmet unveiled. So they've basically got an airbag in there, cushions the blow, any impact. This is where so you go read these publications yourself. As I say, it's not really my thing. This is an interesting one, I thought, from Brembo. Again, Motorcycle News as well. But they've come out with eco-friendly brake pads, which you believe high-end performance without damage to the planet. Brembo have come through on a promise they made a year ago to produce high-performing brake pads that are less harmful to the planet than conventional items. The approach to the new Green Age range is twofold: reduce the use of non-renewable elements in their construction, and secondly, manufacture them with greener production methods. So look, it's green all around, but you're not losing any performance, or maybe not much performance as well. So, and if you watch some of my live streams when I do these kind of general motorcycle shows or news shows, I do like to feature a lot of these companies that are producing products these days that are made of recyclable material, renewable material as well. You know the automotive industry or the motorcycle industry at large is definitely starting to come around to the idea that they got to start producing products that are eco-friendly and they are green, and that they're not just claiming to be green, but are actually green as well. So good news there, good news there from Brembo. Well done to them. Lots of other little mini stories coming out, but I gotta say, not a great deal in the grand scheme of things. Not a great deal. Okay, so let's just get on to, well, the main topic of the day, shall we? Okay, so this is what I'm talking about here. Let me just get onto the main screen first of all. Now, a couple of a week or so ago, or no, actually a couple of days ago in a live stream, I talked about myself experimenting with new cameras and getting cameras and multiple uses of different cameras. A few months ago, I made a video where I've installed these Tapo home security cameras. Very simple to use. You basically just connect them up to your Wi-Fi, download the app on your phone here, and you've got all the cameras. You can load them up there and you get instant feedback, and wherever you are, you can look at wherever you are, so you can have these pointed at anything. Okay, nothing remarkable in security cameras, I know. I also got this other one here. There we go. This is an external camera or an outdoor camera as well. So in the traditional sense, you would use just a phone just to view this. I mean, you could do it off a laptop, but basically the best way to do these things is if you're away from home, you can just tap in, you can have motion sensing on, you can have SD cards, or you can save it to a cloud. I think basically if you're interested in saving the footage, don't save it to an SD card, because they can just swipe the camera and swipe the card and that's it, it's all lost. So have it to a cloud. And away you go. But however, what I wanted to say, well, actually, with this, let's just say if you wanted to make your video feed public, let's say you wanted to put it on YouTube, actually this is a really good way of doing it. So I'm going to show you what I've managed to do today here, and let me just show you this. And basically, this is the cameras. I've got one in the garden here, and I've got one right there just to my left here. It's a bit of a delay on it, but there we go. Look, you can see that there. There's one facing the camera there. Let me just wave my arm in the distance. You might be able to see it there on the top right. And then the other one is of my bike in the garage, and obviously just one in the garden. Okay, what I'm showing you is but what it shows is that, let's just say if you've got a public venue and you want to have views of the crowd and you can stream that crowd, or this is one of the things that I always wanted to do, was to say have a studio, have a workspace, but also have it as a meeting place, and just live stream that multiple cameras, live stream to a YouTube account, or even to my YouTube account, and then basically, or have a separate YouTube account that's linked to it, and then people can not only peer in, but also if you've got a community-based project, then actually this is a really good way of just sharing that live feed with everybody, and then everybody can just tap into YouTube at any time, and they can help monitor whatever you're doing. So let's just say if you have a community project, I don't know, it's a garden, a community garden, for example, right? You set up multiple cameras around, and then anybody, you can have 24-hour clock, 24 hours surveillance, whatever, on that item, and people can watch it. So I think it's really good. The reason why I bring this up in this live show for motorcycle security, actually, because not only they're very versatile. If you spend just a little bit of time with them, and just not only having them on your phone so you can access that information, but also you can have it onto a private server as well, and you can also have it, whereas before you would normally have this on a local TV screen, local computer, and you would record it. You can actually send all this up into YouTube, and you can monitor this, or multiple people can monitor this from wherever you are. So I think having that kind of security level for not only for your motorcycle, but for your car, but your home, is quite a decent shout there. Now, this brings me on to the other thing, and let's know your thoughts as well about what are you going to do this winter for your bike? Are you just going to park it up? What is the best thing to do about storing your bike over winter, but also keeping it secure as well? If you go onto sort of YouTube or websites as well, there's about 1,000,001 different ways to do it. I mean, quite simply, it really depends how often you're going to ride your bike, if you're going to ride it or not. And there are two schools of thought, really, whether you should, start your bike up on a regular intervals, or just leave it. If you're not going to ride it, just leave it. And that's one of the things, and this kind of ties into what I was talking about the other day in a video about hot engine temperatures and hot oil, and a couple of people remarked on this as well. If you're just starting up your engine, let's say for about 5 minutes, even 10 minutes, half an hour, and it's just idling in the garage, well, one, it's going to get quite smoky as well, but also you're just wasting fuel for no reason. You're not doing anything with it. But fundamentally, though, you're not actually you're not allowing any condensation buildup to actually evaporate off, not also within the engine, but also within the exhaust system as well. So that can lead to rust, and that can lead to all sorts of things as well. You can have condensation buildup from the heat that's been generated, but it isn't hot enough to evaporate it. Therefore, then you've got water in your engine or around your engine. Then as it freezes, let's say, especially if you haven't got a heated garage, then you could have problems in your engine. So there are two schools of thought here. Either you do these multiple little starts, and I don't recommend you do that. Well, I certainly wouldn't do it. But then again, I'm a different case because I do ride my bike over winter, so it's a little bit different. But to say, if you're going to do it, then just go ride your bike for an hour, 2 hours. Pick a nice day, once every couple of weeks, whatever. Just go but take it out for a proper ride. If you're not going to do that over winter at all, because it really depends where you are in the world. We can't sort of generalize and say take your bike. If you're take your bike out for 2-hour ride if you're under 2 feet of snow somewhere, or 3 feet of snow. It's just not going to work, is it? You need a snowmobile, not a motorbike. So in that case, then my advice would be say, well, just don't start it at all. Put it on a trickle charger. Put some, top up your fuel tank, so you're getting less condensation in the fuel. Try and yes, every now and again, move the bike, so you're making sure that your suspension is still working, your brakes action is still working, that kind of thing. You're moving it so nothing is seizing in terms of bearings and all that kind of stuff. You could change the position so that you're not the weight of the bike is not resting on a particular patch of tire, so you're moving it around, that kind of thing. These are all good things to do, but in terms of starting the engine, for me, I wouldn't do it. I would just leave it alone. I'll just leave it alone. Just prepare as much as you can. And if you are going to ride in the winter and you want to change your oil for a winter weight oil, fine, do that. If you're going to, ride it, pick certain days, yes, obviously do whatever you need to do. But in terms of parking it up and then feeling that you have to start it up, just keep the battery charged up, or keep the oil circulating in the engine, don't do it. I mean, if anything, what I would say is just leave it alone. Just leave it alone, because it's only going to be parked up for a few months, or 2 or 3 months, 4 months. That's not going to do anything. Now, it's a totally different thing if you're going to park this bike up for years and years and years. Well, then you might probably want to invest in proper motorcycle storage, and that would mean actually getting to the engine and completely filling it with oil, on the basis that you would never start it until you completely drain that of oil. You'd put oil in the cylinders, that kind of thing. You put a layer of grease all over the bike. If it's going to be dry stored for a few years, let's say, you really want to protect that bike, because a standing bike is just going to get rusty. So you need to protect that in many different ways. But just over winter, just leave it alone. Just don't do anything. Just invest in a trickle charger, a bike tender, battery tender, and that's all you need. That's all you need for that kind of thing. I'll dig into the comments in a moment, but you see, Don Bell should say, what do we do if we have a bike in a communal underground car park but no plugs? Are there trickle chargers that don't need to be plugged in? I don't believe so. You need some kind of power outlet. What you can do in that case, what you can do, you can invest in these battery starters, let's say handheld battery starters, and they can just, if your bike is just running a bit flat one day, you can give a little boost to start up, and they're the size of like an iPhone type thing, a little bit big. It's a one-shot deal basically, and that'll get your bike started, and then you will have to ride it around then. There's no thing. I mean, but if you haven't got any power source to it, then the only other thing you could do, it's a real long way of doing it, is basically get a battery, a big car battery with an inverter on it, and put a trickle charger on that, and it may just have enough juice in it to keep it trickle charged, but it won't last long. That's the problem. So it's a bit of a false electrical cycle, as it were, trying to do 12 volt into AC to power a trickle charger. It just doesn't work. So yeah, if you haven't got power, then there's no way you're going to do it. The only other way, as I say, if it was out in the open, and maybe in the winter it wouldn't work so much as well, but you could come up with some solar charging system as well. I mean, that would work, a solar charging system. You get a 100-watt solar panel with a battery charger. You hook that up to your battery, and then that would keep that trickle charged up. That would work, because they use it in campers, and the campers and everything like that. So you could just put the SAE connector, your battery, all Harleys, let's say, or most bikes these days are sold with a battery charger connector. So you just hook your solar controller, the power coming out of the solar controller from the solar panel, and that goes directly into the battery. And effectively, that's what a battery tender is, but the power is coming from your mains AC outlet as opposed to the sun. As I say, that would be, but obviously if you're an underground car park, you're not going to be able to do that. I suppose you can get some mice or hamsters and put them in a hamster cage, and get a little motor that's generating some power or something like that, but that's it. But as I say, look, so if you're not gonna move your bike over winter, then don't touch it. Don't start the engine. Just leave it as it is. If you're going to start the engine, make sure you take it out for a proper ride, an hour, so that everything gets really hot. And you are evaporating everything. Now, the other question is do you want to take your bike out on salty roads in the winter? Well, then the other thing, then you have to protect your bike, with ACF 50 or moisture repellent or anything like that, WD-40, wherever it is. I mean, I tend to put all sorts of stuff on my bike over winter. ACF 50, say grease. Say last year, I made a big thing about covering the bike in these grease all over the fixings, and it looked absolutely horrible. But I tell you what, when it came to take it all off in the spring, the bike held up. It was in good condition. In early spring, what I tend to do, just give the bike a really good wash again, and then I go and touch up any little rust spots that I've got on the bike as well, especially on the underside of the frame. That kind of thing. So, always look at protecting your bike over winter. But let's just say if you're just going to go out on a winter's day where it's dry, just a beautiful dry sunny day, and the roads are dry and the bike is not going to get wet and salty, then all you need to do when you get back, just give it a good wash, just a little sprinkle of water, wipe it down, and then park it up again. You'll be absolutely fine. Dom, here we go. Let's have a look here. Any thoughts on the difference between spoke wheels and alloy wheels? I imagine salt and grit would destroy spoke wheels, but not necessarily. Again, it really comes down to the make. It comes down to who they are. But the best defense against any corrosion is regular washing. That's it, regular washing. So if you go out in salty conditions, then you've kind of got to be really meticulous or really anal about regular washing your bike. This goes for cars as well, the same thing, but cars are slightly different in that they've got more protection on them than bikes in terms of paint and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't really make a difference. Now, if it's just spokes, I would there's a couple of options you could do. You could have a ceramic coating added to the whole bike, and that will protect it somewhat, but not brilliantly, especially against salt and expose things like spokes. But then I would actually go for something like, especially if it's on spokes alone. You're not putting on brake discs or anything like that. But then just be meticulous about putting like a ACF 50, you put WD-40 on there, you can do all sorts of stuff, because it's not gonna, and make sure it's dried on there, as it were, so it's not going to be flung off onto the brake discs, and then you've got, you can protect it that way. But again, it's just regular protection and regular washing. And the problem with this way of doing it is that you'll soon forget. And it's all those times when you forget, that's when the rust will start getting in. And Harley Davidson, for example, but other brands as well, they've had lots of problems in the past with early rust developing on spoke wheels, and they got better over the years, and other manufacturers have had similar kinds of issues as well. But you'll never, time is the curse, really, because at some point it's going to happen. At some point you're going to get rust. So the idea is just to fend that off as much as you can. And and lots of people sort of scoffed when I was talking about putting WD-40 on wheels and that kind of stuff, and or grease on wheels and that kind of stuff. But as long as it's not getting onto the braking surface, and as long as you are regular washing, then it's absolutely fine. It's one of those things. Winter riding is a lot more conservative anyway. You got to be a lot more conservative, and it's like the last couple of days, it's just been ice all over the place, and on the main roads it's been slippery because they put a load of salt down or chemical down as well. But it's all the side roads. I mean, I just was out walking and I almost went arse over tit, really. So it's kind of so that's kind of thing. I mean, as I say, it's protecting your bike over winter in all the different ways. There's lots of things, and then you're talking about security as well. This is the other thing. I suppose you could talk about, this is why we've got these security feeds here as well, just to show you here what you can do with them. You can have just your own private security feed. You can have a security feed to a private hosted, just let's say like a YouTube, so you don't have to rely on it on your phone. You could also work on a computer somewhere. But if you've got some kind of community-based project, or you've got a shop or a store or some kind of meeting place, let's say like a cafe, and you want to have security cameras that are showing, during the day when it's busy, but also show it at night, where people can always tap in and look into. And these things work. These things work. Very simple, very cheap, and you can use them for a lot more than a lot of people would think you can. So I can't rate them enough. And so probably this is the first security camera setup that I've actually think these things work, and they work very well, and they work flawlessly, and they are so simple to set up on your phone. However, setting them up on your computer to make sure they go over YouTube, this is a different thing as well. It requires quite a few steps. It's kind of taken me all day just to figure it out, because you basically have to it's language that I don't even fully understand, to be quite honest with you. It's, you're having to change Wi-Fi, your internet, broadband, LAN settings, WAN settings, IP addresses, IPv4, IPv6 or 6V, I don't know, whatever it is. You have to change all these things, and I'm going, crikey, I have no idea. So, but basically, in the end, it worked. So it's fine. And let's say this other software here, this is what they call OBS, Open Broadcast System, or something like that. And this is a free software which you can use either on a Mac or a PC to either make YouTube videos like live streams. Now, I don't use that system. I use something called StreamYard, and I much prefer this StreamYard as an option, because it just gives me a lot more. I put my little icon up there as well. And it just works for me as a platform that rather than OBS does, because I can share a lot easier. I can share other screens with you, and I can show you the kind of stuff that I'm doing in terms of the news out there, the products out there, the bikes and everything. But also, it's a lot better if I wanted to have a discussion with somebody, have a podcast with somebody, or invite anybody to come and have a chat as well. So this is why I use this system. However, using the other system, let's say OBS, which is like set for YouTube approved as well, many people use this. It's a great system, and let's say you can have all your feeds onto there. That is, let's say if you want to try and protect a public place, and you want to have multiple people to help you look after that place as well. Or it could be something, it could be a community-based project where, let's say, you've got animals, or livestock, or horses, or whatever it is, and you've got a whole group of people that let's say you got a stables, right? And a stables, and multiple people have got their horses at the stables. Well, you can say to these people, okay, what we're going to do, we're going to have a series of cameras, and all this is going to YouTube, right? And then you, as an individual, you can just log on, and you can look at your horse, or you look at somebody else's horse, whatever, that kind of stuff. So you can collectively add to the security of whatever you've got. Now, in the case of, let's bring this back to motorcycling, for the home user, no, you don't want to put this out into the YouTube world, because this is your home, right? This is where you live and all that sort of stuff. However, if it's a business, let's say, and you want to, like, a communal area, or you want to the exterior, or you want to have a street scene or something like that, and you just want a constant feed, well, lots of people would watch that for a start, but lots of people can help you, look at things like that as well. So, it's always good. I mean, this kind of technology which I'm using today, or talking about, I'm actually doing research with this right now. So I'm also trying to see how this works for another project as well. So I'm kind of juggling multiple balls at times. So I want to try and introduce this elsewhere, to say, actually, we can use this with that as well. So it works really well. But anyway, so listen, security of your bike is, I made a video about this a long time ago, right? And I tell you, and please leave your comments in there as well. But security of a bike or anything, it really comes down to you as an individual, as how easy you make it for any would-be thief, the scum of the earth thief, to come and steal your pride and joy, what it is. So let's just say, if you're parking it out on the street, and you've got to find some way of not only locking it, but also you've got to find a way of disabling it as well. Because let's just say, if you lock it, well, locks are rubbish. It doesn't matter how great the locks are, how brilliant they are. My advice to anybody is to disable your vehicle. And that means, pull out a relay, a start relay, pull out the battery or whatever, so that it makes it difficult for them just to turn it, hot wire it, and away they go. Do something like that. The other thing is, let's just say, you want to make it difficult for somebody to tow that vehicle, or to just move it really quickly. So, the old trick was to say, well, if you're going to park up a vehicle for a long period of time, is actually to jack it up, put it on axle stands, put it on bricks, take the wheels off, go and store the wheels inside, so that they can't just roll the vehicle away. If it's a motorbike, then obviously you don't want that out in the open anyway, if you can help it. But then you got to put locks in it, proper locks. And when people talk about security on bikes, it always makes me laugh, because you can have the most expensive chain out there, the hardest chain, that the thieves with the angle grinders can't cut through, and all that sort of stuff. But then they put the worst lock on it. It's just like taking your luggage to the supermarket, and you get those poxy little locks, and you think, well, what's the point? It's just for show, really. And it's ridiculous, and they're not doing anything. So make sure that your lock, and what I tend to do is that I get a heavy duty chain if I'm storing the bike for somewhere, and I want to tie my bike helmet to the bike. But I actually go out and buy a heavy duty lock, a proper security lock, not a motorcycle lock, not those ones. I just get a normal padlock that is, hardened steel. It's big and chunky, and you use those. So just make it hard, because if somebody wants to steal your pride and joy, your bike or your car, they're going to do it. So all you can try and do is make it as difficult as possible. If you're going to store it indoors, then have ground anchors, wall anchors into your bike. But bear this in mind, if you've got exposed bolts, then all they need to do is just undo the bolts on the anchor, and they can take your bike away. If you've got a crappy lock on your on that chain that's to the anchor, they're just going to undo the lock. So it's you've got to look at this rationally and say, at every point on that security chain, as it were, the puzzle, as it were, is every little bit secure? Because if it isn't, then your bike is vulnerable, really. But then and again, it comes down to all home security. And I think cameras, as I say, do not protect your bike at all. They do not protect your vehicle. But what they can do is help you monitor them, and if something does happen, hopefully you can get some footage. So this is where I say, with these things as well, if you're going to use these as security cameras, for me, do not use, because they can have SD cards in there. I think these can take 128 gigabyte of data, which is a lot of data, right? But all they need to do is swipe the camera and swipe the card, and that's it. You've lost everything. You've lost all your footage. So if you're really that serious about wanting to save the data from anything that's captured on the cameras, then you're going to have to invest in storing it to a cloud, which can be quite expensive. And then it doesn't matter if the camera is swiped then, because the footage has already been sent to the cloud. So you'll be able to, save it. Steve. Here we go. Hello there. I've run out of garages, so my BMW 1200RT is chained to a post with an A-bus chain and a second A-bus U-lock. Also have Monimoto tracker. Yeah, they're decent. And an Oxford HD cover. Yeah, I mean, look, you do whatever you can do, don't you? I mean, Monimoto trackers are good. I think sometimes, I made a video a couple of years ago, a year ago, when Apple AirTags first came out, but you can use Android AirTag type things as well. And just hide those on your bike, and they're decent as well. And then they're, a lot of these things don't require any kind of subscription either as well. But yeah, all these trackers have anything that, let's face it, if you're reliant on the police to come and get your vehicle, forget it. They're not going to find it. My son's bike just got stolen at the train station a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, they can do what they like, but they can check CCTV and all that sort of stuff. But it's the bike's gone. That's it, as simple as that. And it's the same with these, these cameras and everything. Look, yeah, if you can get the footage, great. But then you still got to give that footage to somebody, the police, and then they've got to see if they recognise somebody, and if they recognise it, then they might be able to find them. But it's a slim, it's a slim chance that they're going to catch somebody. They're going to catch somebody, who's stolen your bike, your pride and joy. So all you can do is just protect it, make it a nuisance, make it that they don't want to, come into your place or wherever you're storing it, storing your bike. And if you have to store it outside, multiple chains against lampposts, something that's immovable, make it difficult, try and disable your bike so they can't start it up and ride it off, that kind of thing. The big thing about London over the last few years is that you got these groups of, they're kids basically riding around on scooters, trying to steal bikes all over the place. And what they're doing, they're stealing scooters. Well, it'd be great, it'd be fine. They cut through, they threaten people with hammers, they cut through security chains with the angle grinders. I featured a product a few weeks ago where there's a new product which is really, really hard to cut through, even exceptionally hard to cut through, right? But it still relies on people, because these kids are brazen, right? And they don't care. So, they could be there for an hour cutting away. So if they're not stopped or the police don't come in the meantime, guess what? They're just going to keep on going until they cut through it. So the other thing is, anyway, if that bike is disabled somehow, then they can't ride off with it. They can push it away. So, but at the same time, you're always making it difficult. You always make it difficult. Yeah, that's right. It's about slowing them down. That's it. You're just trying to keep it out of eye shot. Yeah. It's one of those things, a bit of camouflage, a bit of cover, that kind of thing. And I say that's if it's out in the street. If it's indoors, it's exactly the same. You've got to just make it difficult. Obviously lock your doors, lock the bike, lock the chain. Lots of people don't put the steering lock on their bike. And I know what people are going to say. Yes, but they can easily be broken and snapped and everything like that. But it's just another thing. Did you know that in most cases, whilst it's hard to prove, one of the conditions of your insurance paying out is that you have the steering wheel lock on. So that's it. You've got to have your steering lock on. If you've got an alarm fitted, you've got to have the alarm. And again, alarms are really weird as well. So here's the thing, as you know, if you're a Harley Davidson fan, you'll know this as well. I think it was 2020, they started selling the Harley Davidsons with the alarm, but no audible warning, audible alert. So basically, the alarm would go off and you'd have like flashing lights, but there'd be no audio warning. So what's the point of that? It's just like ridiculous. Or there's no chirp, there's nothing to that. So it's just ridiculous. It really is. There's no voice, but you'd have to pay an extra £75 or whatever, it's £80 to put a chirp box on there, an alert box on there, just so it sounds the alarm. It's ridiculous. But there we go. But anyway, listen, so I thought I'd bring this to you about the cameras, internal cameras, external cameras. I say, because you can use them not only for the security aspect or of you personally monitoring them, but also you can use them for community-based projects as well. And that's it. And all I would say is, if you're gonna be storing your bike over winter, just either ride it properly or just leave it alone. Don't touch it. And if you are, it depends on your personal circumstances. If you have a dry area that's not necessarily, if you have a dry garage that isn't heated, let's say, then don't. You can put blankets over it. But I personally, what I would do is, get a proper motorcycle cover that gives an air gap between the motorcycle itself and the cover. If it's outside or if it's wet, for whatever you do not put blankets over the bike. Do not do it. Only put the motorcycle cover on there. Do not put blankets, because the blankets will retain the moisture, and then all of a sudden your bike will just rust over winter. So as I say, if you're storing your bike, if you're storing or not storing it, just cover it in ACF 50, covering it in grease, covering it in WD-40, whatever it is, on the non-breaking parts, let's say, and just protect your bike that way. Just do whatever you can, but and give it regular washing and all that. But if you're going to store it, then make sure that if moisture can get to it, it can easily evaporate off. And if you're in a dry storage area, that's one thing, that's good as well. But if you're outside in a moist area, do not put blankets over it, because that's the last thing. Let the bike get wet, but let it naturally dry out. That's much, much, much better. If you're in a heated garage as well, okay, if you're lucky enough to have that, a heated garage, well then yeah, but again, just be aware of the moisture as well, just moisture covering the bike, that kind of thing. So just don't go overboard with covering the bike too much. Just be sensible about it, but don't start the bike if you don't need to. Just leave it alone, have it on a trickle charger, that kind of thing. And yeah, if you're away from a power source, then you're going to have to either start the bike on a regular basis and go for a ride, or you're going to have to devise some kind of remote charging system if you can, that kind of thing. And what I would suggest is look into getting a 12-volt supply and making up your own kind of trickle charger. It might be possible, but what you would have to do is then you would have to go and take that battery away, recharge it on a regular basis, if you know what I mean. It might be better to do that way than take the motorcycle battery out. It really depends on the circumstances. There's lots of different ways to do it, lots of different ways. But anyway, listen, I thought I'd bring this to you because, as I say, it's security is going to be quite a big thing, obviously, over winter for you. And many people may be riding, may not be riding, but it's how you attack this that's going to be of most benefit, I'd say. And whether you're thinking about it from a security point of view, just make it as difficult as possible. That's all you can do. Make it as difficult as possible for these, these so-and-sos to steal anything from you. Just make it difficult to steal, make it difficult for them to get away with a usable machine in terms of a motorcycle or a car, and just do that. So lots of change, good locks, covers, keep it out of sight, out of plain sight if you can, but lock all the doors, all that kind of stuff. Then you're talking about just protecting it, and then the bike from the winter and everything. Well, it really depends. You definitely want to have it covered in some kind of moisture repellent, but if you're not regular washing, that's really good. And then just keep it dry, or let it dry out naturally. Do not let it don't cover it in blankets so the blankets get all moist and everything. It's better to have an exposed bike than with nothing on it than have it covered in wet blankets, put it that way. There we go. My Indian Scout and other BMW are on sawn with the batteries removed from the house. Yeah. PIT on the BMW 1100S. Yes. That's another way. Yeah, just take the batteries out. I mean, I would always say that if you don't have a trickle charger, if you don't have a bike tender, just remove the batteries. Just remove the batteries from your bikes. It's not going to be a problem. Just remove it. You probably find that it depends on the bike first. You're going to have a main fuse. Take the main fuse out first, then remove the battery. And do that, and then then you can charge them up wherever you want to, and then just put them back on when you need to. But there's no problem in leaving your bike stationary for 3 or 4 or 5 months. There's no problem at all. All you need to do, as I say, during that winter process is every now and again just push it forwards and backwards a little bit. Just get on the brakes, activate the suspension a little bit so nothing seizes, and then just move it around your garage, or just move it forwards and backwards. That's all you need to do. Stephen, old leaf blower. Yeah, that's right. I mean, anything to stop that moisture gathering. Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, guys, listen, I'm going to love you and leave you, but it's been emotional once again. And say thank you for joining me in the igloo. It's been very cold again. I don't know what the temperature is now, but I'd say it's hovering above zero. I'll leave the links for these in the description below. As I say, I don't often do products these days because I think I only want to feature products that I use primarily, but also ones that I've tried and tested, and I think they really benefit. And these are security cameras, just like anything else. But I think if you get the same security camera and these work really well, and I'm sure other brands do exactly the same. I'm not saying that they don't, but these Tapo ones, internal, external, they got a whole range of different ones. They work for me. Let's put it that way. Anyway, listen, that's it. I'm going to head on out, and we'll see you on the next one. There's a couple more videos coming out this week. I hope you enjoy those. More food for thought. But let us know in the comments below what you're going to be doing this winter with your bike. Are you going to be storing it, or any kind of tips for storing it as well? I'm sure I've missed lots of storage tips. As I say, this wasn't supposed to be a storage tips video. It's more about a general discussion. But as I say, I'm sure there's lots and lots of tips out there, what you can do, and everybody's got their own way of doing things. And great, that's that's what you should do. But anyway, listen, thanks for joining. Thanks for your comments. Thanks to Steve and Dom and everybody else. Thanks for that. And I'll catch you again on another video coming very, very soon. But say there's a video coming out tomorrow night. There's another one on Friday. I'll see whether I come out with another live show before the weekend, but it's probably likely to be at the weekend for another live show, or maybe Friday. It really depends what news stories come out. Still waiting on a lot of Harley Davidson information. I've got a bit more that's come through today actually, but I haven't been able to verify it, so I'm not going to give any information out that I don't think is verifiable or it's a good bet. But say there's always going to be stories around, and as I say, we don't really know from any of the manufacturers, until we actually see it from their lips, as it were. But anyway, listen, it's been great, and catch you again on another video coming very soon. Catch you again. Ta-da.
Revelator out.